Is that in a good way? Like maybe they haven't asked too many hard questions or getting it,
Yeah, and I think one of the adjustments sometimes as a new staff when you come in there is okay. Is your intention as a coach? Maybe when you're approaching a player in a stern manner, right? And so, not saying they question us in that manner, but it's important for us as a new staff, and first time working with these guys, and we've found this out in the transfer portal era. Everybody comes from they've been coached by different people. Again, in the new staff scenario, they've all been coached by different people. And so one of the things we on the front end of things we explain, okay, what is our intention when we coach a certain way, right? Number one, from a strategy standpoint, it's urgent that we get this message across. Right? You may not like that urgency, right? And the second thing is because we think your behavior is going to hurt your value. So from a team standpoint and an individual standpoint, it's required of us to let you know that the behaviors in that moment are not appropriate and in a timely manner, right? And so some of that is just making sure that we communicate that way so they understand our intentions and our purpose.
Coach, have you guys decided game day operations yet? Are you going to be on the field? Are you going to be in the booth? Have you decided all that yet?
No, those are things we'll talk about over the next month.
What are the pros and cons for both of them? You've done both in your career.
Yeah, generally speaking, when you're upstairs, I would describe it a little bit more as like you're playing a video game. It's happening, and there's some good parts of that. From a distraction standpoint, you're kind of in your own world. That can also be a bad thing because you're in your own world too much. Sure. The nice thing about being on the field, it ends up being it's just football. Sometimes that's nice to kind of remind yourself in the moment it's not bigger than it actually is. Just 11 dudes going against each other, just like any game that's been played over the history of the sport, and so there's some advantages there. Historically, when you didn't have the iPads up there, it was from a visual standpoint, there's some advantages, so you could see. Now with the iPad, in real time, you don't necessarily have the second by second as the next play is getting ready to run, but you didn't have that available to you anyway because you didn't call the next play. And then very quickly at the end of the series, you get a chance to watch everything. And so that's probably changed it as much as anything. It was one of the major benefits upstairs, which you could literally see everything that was going on in terms of all 22. And then now, how important is that? Probably a little bit different than it used to be.
After a game's over and you've played another team, what do you want the opposing coach to say about your defense?
Yeah, I think from an effort standpoint, it's something that I just continue to harp on. I keep going back to the successes we've had over the course of time at every place that I've been, whether I was coordinator or not. There was an edge about it. It was whether it was a bunch of NFL dudes or no NFL dudes. It was 11 guys running the football with a level of purpose. Right, and a coach can see that, and opposing players can feel that. Use the basketball example. If it's 5-on-5, it feels like they got 6-7 guys out there, and it's easy to say, and I recognize that. But the physical brand that's attached to it, running with a purpose, that great effort, and then when we get there, there's a violence about it. That's got to be who you are. That's what, not my opinion, that's what great defense has to include. There's no other version of it that's going to be good enough.
I know it was a few years ago, but you've always spent time coaching in the Big 12. I know a ton of stuff has changed. Does that give you any advantage now as you kind of walk back in the Big 12? Anything you can glean from that first stint kind of in the Big 12 now?
I think number one is it gives me a lot of respect for the coaches that are in the conference, a lot of the same ones, and obviously some that have changed. And so, the longer you're in the profession, the more crossover that you have. And so, again, just a major respect for who they are, what they do, and the pain that they put you in, and what they're capable of doing. So, I think it's easier on the looking back to say it turned into an advantage as opposed to the front end. But all I can think about is some of the real battles and challenges that almost to the man in terms of the guys who had a chance to coach against gave us over the years.
And I want to circle back to what you said earlier about the guys coming from the transfer portal and being under a lot of different coaches. I mean, what do you think makes you stand out as a coach, in yourself?
Yeah, no, I appreciate the question. I mean, I think number one as you go through it is making sure that every decision that you make from a coaching standpoint is to put the kids in the best position possible to be successful. And that includes, you can't do it for one guy, you got to do it for all 11. And included in that is, okay, what system is attached to allow the guys to play at their best. You know, a lot of people talk about scheme, and that scheme is what you see. Is there 4 defensive linemen, 3 defensive linemen? Is it cover 2, man free? That scheme. To me, what makes it special from a coaching standpoint is the system that's attached to it to allow the guys to execute those things at a high level, play fast, play physical, and ultimately have the production it allows them to have the best career possible. You know, and so I think 8 years of being a coordinator prior to that, I think we had 28 guys playing in the National Football League, and so you take stock in that. So every single guy that, for instance, that's on our defense right now, their position, someone is in the NFL with the exact same coaching points that we've given them, right? And so you take stock in that, but that's the thing is like it's the system, which includes the effort piece and the non-negotiables that go with it. You're going to have a coach that's very honest with you and is not going to have the non-verbal agreement that we're going to accept effort that's not going to allow those guys to be most successful. And once they recognize that, they have a tendency to buy in.
I know coach term a lot, like players coach. Like, would you consider yourself to be a players coach?
Jeez, I don't know exactly what that's a tough one to ask the coach. But you know, sometimes when you're smiling, you're joking around with guys and enjoying the moment, then you probably feel like one. And sometimes when you're being giving them the truth serum, you maybe don't feel like one near as much.
I know Coach once told me that if you want to know about an offense, ask the defensive guy. So, what do you think of this Coach Frost offense? You go against it every day. How would you describe the offense that
Well,
Coach Frost
it's a pain in the tail. You know, some people say multiple, and they don't. They say because it sounds good. It's kind of like talking like we're attacking defense. It sounds good, and everybody says it. But the multiplicity from an offensive standpoint, what they're able to do is put you in a situation defensively where you just don't have a playoff. You have to recognize formations, personnels, shifts and motions and everything that comes with it. And then there's a tempo element of things that makes everything very, very difficult as well. And we call that transition defense now. Used to talk about hurry up offense, but now we're talking about transition defense using a basketball phrase. Sure. It's always easier to get set up in a 2-3 zone or man-to-man if you're playing half-court defense. Well, basketball requires transition. Sometimes you have to run to those spots and still be successful. And so that's the biggest thing for us defensively is and it's an advantage for us if we use it the right way. It makes us play transition defense a lot. We're running the spots and getting lined up fast and trying to put ourselves with cleats in the grass so you can be aggressive. That's one of the things that they do a great job of really making it very difficult.
I see you're wearing a UCF Fierce wristband. What does that phrase mean to you and your team?
Yeah, it's play fast. It's play with an edge. It's play physical. It's putting yourself in a situation on every given down that's 11 dudes that have again that edge. I mean, that's probably the best way to describe it. Just the certain brand that we want to attach to us. Yes, you want to play fast, but there's got to be a fierce. There's got to be a finish to the play. And a lot of times it feels like a car wreck, and we're the ones that we have to create that.